right, we're back for the July economic update. I'm John Cleaver with Dennis Bacon, Beyond Wealth Advisors. Dennis, good to have you back in the office.
Thanks.
A little reprieve for the summer.
I survived the lake experience, yes.
Fantastic, fantastic. So here we are in July, and generally speaking, the markets have been moving up. In fact, in June, the S&P was up a little over 6%, 6.5%. Most of the markets year to date are up maybe even double digits. So how does that market movement play with this idea of this looming recession that we keep hearing about?
Well, in my view, I think we've seen some things change that's probably modified my stance a little bit right now on that. I believe that we probably have a chance at a soft landing.
Yeah.
Okay. At the very least, I think more than likely any recession is going to be pushed off until at the very earliest late this year, more than likely next year sometime. And so that's kind of where I would see things playing out right now, that it would likely be sometime next year.
So it seems that all sounds better, relatively good, keeps kind of pushing out. I know the goal of a soft landing has been something that they've been going for all along. We hear a lot right now, though, about the labor market, specifically employment. And so where does that fit into what's to come?
Well, I think the labor markets right now, they've ticked up slightly, but they're staying in that same range, with about 3.7% unemployment right now. The interesting thing is, though, if we start looking at the underlying situation, there's been a lot of employment that's taken place at the governmental level, not just the federal level, but state and local government. Matter of fact, that's where the largest increase in new openings has come up over the past couple of months. But the rest, some of the other areas of the market have stayed fairly strong, but we've had a lot of layoffs in some of the areas, technology and some of the areas that I think probably have become a little bit bloated in the last, that's all around how to put it. They just overhired. When hiring was difficult, they were grabbing for anybody who looked like a good person. So I think that's kind of taken place. So I think the labor market right now, they're projecting that by middle of next year, will probably be at about a 5% unemployment rate, is what most of the projections are right now.
So how does that ultimately impact where you see things going into 2024? If we get a soft landing, if any recession we would get would be pushed back, how do those two things play together?
Well, I think those two things, but I think one of the other things that are more important right now is the reason why we're not seeing this. We originally were thinking this would happen this summer. Matter of fact, I was thinking right about now we would be in that. But what we have seen is the housing market has actually been very resilient, which we kind of figured it would be. But the last 2 months, housing prices have dropped, and new home starts, which have remained positive, are continuing to be so. New home starts, new home sales, new permits. But the one thing that has come back into the market is we've started seeing increases in the existing home sales. And so that's been very good. We're starting to see, the consumer confidence has taken a big jump in the month of June. It was a big jump. Part of that may have been what was going on in Washington with some things kind of resolved. I think that may have been part of it. Interestingly, inflation, while it's dropped to around 4% as far as the headline inflation, the core inflation has stayed really sticky around the 5.5% level. And the other thing that's been positive is for the fourth quarter in a row, we've had oil prices drop. And so those things all combined just tend to make things look a little bit better than what we were anticipating would happen. And I think a lot of that, to me, a lot of it is the pent-up demand for housing that's really a 10-year lag. We've been, since the 07, 08, 09 time period where housing starts to drop dramatically. We just haven't ever caught up from that.
So that all seems to make a pretty good case for some near-term growth opportunities to continue to kind of see the economy and the market continue to improve. But while maybe at the same time keeping some hint of defensiveness out there, kind of just in case.
I think that's exactly where we need to be right now. I feel that I feel better about things going forward than I did 2 months ago. But I do believe that there is more than likely during the next 2 or 3 months, we're going to see some volatility.
Yep.
Typically, August, September are the two worst months of the market for a variety of reasons.
Right.
I think that'll probably still stay the same. I think that the concept of recession in next year, the one countervailing force of that is, well, we don't like to get into it too much, the political side of things,
Right.
is that next year is an election year.
That's right.
And any current administration, whether it's Democrat or Republican, is going to do everything it can to keep a recession from happening during the election year. Because should that happen, that pretty much is a big negative for the existing administration.
Right.
So I expect there'll be a lot of things happening on that front that will probably buoy the economy up a little bit over the next several months, even over the next year. Just what they can get done or not is always
Sure. Yeah,
it's
that's a different
it's
story.
kind of a whole different clown show. And that's on all sides.
Yeah, everyone's
So,
included in that. Well, that sounds great, and obviously summer can be a little bit slower in the news cycle, so hopefully we can continue to see things improve. And certainly, as always, it's a great time to reconnect, touch base with your advisor, make sure you have your plan in place for not only the rest of 2023, but into the years to come. So we thank you for tuning in. And believe it or not, it'll be August and almost back to school the next time we're together.
I don't say that. My wife is a teacher. We
Sorry.
don't want to talk about that. Y'all have a great summer.